Hello there, good day. My name is Mia. In this series of videos, I'd like to see if we can open up a book, read about it, make commentaries as well as analysis. A lot of the books that I will go through with might be in the Bible and some classics as well that are well worth our time. So without further ado, I'm going to start with the book of Job. Now, just as a disclaimer, I'm not a Bible scholar, although I have studied and read the Bible for 20 years now, almost on a daily basis. I've been exposed to sessions and preaching as well, but by no means am I a teacher, and neither am I a scholar. So let's read. The book of Job. There was a man in the land of Uz, whose name was Job, and that man was perfect and upright, and one that feared God and eschewed evil. And there were born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. His substance also was 7,000 sheep, and 3,000 camels, and 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 she-asses, and a very great household, so that this man was the greatest of all the men of the east. Okay, let's pause a little bit there. So Job is believed to be one of the patriarchs of the Bible. He is on par with Abraham, and it's believed also that the book of Job is one of the earliest books, and it may have happened or occurred like in early Genesis. Okay, so that would be about 1996 BC, 1996 to 2100 BC. Okay, now he was a great patriarch, just as Abraham had lots of cattle, lots of substance. Job also was quite a very wealthy man. And now to continue with verse 4. And his sons went and feasted in their houses every one his day, and sent and called for their 3 sisters to eat and to drink with them. And it was so, when the days of their feasting were gone about, that Job sent and sanctified them, and rose up early in the morning, and offered burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, It may be that my sons have sinned and cursed God in their hearts. Thus did Job continually. So this here we see as an example of how a father interceded for their children. Notice these children are not dead yet, they were living, right? And Job was praying for them just in case they have sinned even in their hearts. And how befitting that a father would pray for their children, right? So let's continue. Verse 6. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them. And the Lord said unto Satan, Whence comest thou? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. And the Lord said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth? A perfect and upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil. We can see here that the context here is the sons of God is because you know how Satan really began as Lucifer. So he really was an angel before he fell, and then he became an adversary and an enemy. And apparently he's able to present himself up to the throne of heaven in terms of that. I suppose he can't present himself when he is summoned. We have very loaded groups of verses that I read. Let me just pause also to say that within this part, as I see it, you know how there are pictures there where it's like the Lord and what's a representation of Satan. They're face to face and doing a hand wrestling type of number. And that picture really is very fallacious because Lucifer was a creation of God. So he's not really equal. There's like this thought out there where they say that Satan and God are equal in power. God at one instance can just obliterate the devil. And then let's continue with verse 9. Then Satan answered the Lord and said, Doth Job fear God for naught? Hast not thou made an hedge about him, and about his house, and about all that he hath on every side? Thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. But put forth thine hand now, and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thee to thy face. So the enemy is taunting and saying the only thing he really is ever good for is if you bless him, he will love you. But then when you punish him, or that if you take away all the fortune that he's having, all the beneficence that he's having, he will curse you. He will leave you. Verse 12. The Lord said unto Satan, Behold, all that he hath is in thy power, only upon himself put not forth thine hand. So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. And now it begins. And there was a day when his sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And there came a messenger unto Job and said, The oxen were plowing, and the asses feeding beside them. And the Sabians fell upon them, and took them away. Yea, they have slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. Who are the Sabians? The Sabians were people who dwelt in the land of Sheba, towards modern-day Yemen. They were men of stature, they were tall, as it was mentioned in the book of Isaiah, and they were powerful apparently, and strong. And the Sabians, 15 now to continue, the Sabians fell upon them and took them away. Yea, they have slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, The fire of God is fallen from heaven, and hath burnt up the sheep and the servants, and consumed them, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, The Chaldeans made out 3 bands, and fell upon the camels, and have carried them away, yea, and slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. Who are the Chaldeans? We know them. They're very commonly mentioned in the Bible. The Chaldeans were from Mesopotamia, formerly Mesopotamia. Continue 18. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, Thy sons and thy daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And behold, there came a great wind from the wilderness, and smote the 4 corners of the house, and it fell upon the young men, and they are dead. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee. Wow. Then Job rose and rent his mantle, and shaved his head, and fell down upon the ground and worshipped, and said, Naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. In all this Job sinned not, nor charged God foolishly. And that ends the first chapter. Very dramatic, isn't it? Even if you haven't read the book, you have heard the stories. Before I read the book of Job, and before I even studied and heard commentaries about it, and heard preaching and teaching about it, I always thought that it was so fantastical, and it was very unjust as to why God would allow the devil to punish Job in this way. And what did he do? He was just an upright man. But we will discover as the book continues that, number 1, the Lord is sovereign. And then number 2, a faithful man is really gonna remain faithful. God will capture a faithful man and will redeem and restore his faithfulness despite everything that happens to him. No matter what tragedy comes in his life, all the adversities will come, but at the end of the day, if he remains faithful, the Lord has anointed him as such, he will be redeemed and restored. So we have found out in the first chapter that Job was very prosperous. He lived in abundance, but then almost like in just one day, really in just one afternoon, everything was taken away from him, including his children. But the conclusion of the first chapter says, listen to him, Naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Wow. I honestly wonder if we can say this for ourselves. It is understandable if we can. Until next time, and hopefully it won't be long until I make the next video for chapter 2. Let's see what we can uncover about Job. Okay? Till next time.